So in a way, footlocks are like the first submission that you should learn how to defend, right? Because, can you lay down your back for a second? Like if you have a good guard, and he has a sweet guard, right? I can't get around his guard to arm lock him or choke him or anything. You know what I mean? If his guard is good, you see what I mean? But his feet are right there. You see what I mean? So even though footlocks aren't the first, it sounds crazy to say, even though footlocks aren't the first submission you should learn, they're the first ones you should learn how to defend. Right? The first one you should learn is like rear naked and maybe arm lock, American, you know what I mean? But like the first, if I'm climbing the coconut tree or whatever you want to call it, with his head being the coconut, right? The first opportunity I have is here. You know what I mean? And sometimes as a ref, I see in tournaments, you see guys that have really good guards, and then they get footlocked, and they have no footlock defense, and so, you know what I mean? It's the first thing available to me. Now bear in mind, under IBJJF rules, there's a lot of rules about what is allowed and what is not allowed in terms of footlocks, right? Here, I'll just lose it for a second. The main one that they talk about is reaping. And when we say footlock, what we're talking about is this, right? This is his Achilles, right? And the main way you footlock you guys, you put the sharp part of your wrist bone. I don't use what I call the butter knife. Use the edge of the knife, not the flat of the knife. Use the edge of the knife on the Achilles, and you block something. You see what I mean? But if you do it this way, if you start doing this, this is now putting pressure on the inside of his knee. Bend your knee a little bit, so I can see what I mean. And I can submit him just by doing this. You see what I mean? It's putting pressure on his medial collateral ligament. You see what I mean? And that's why reaping is illegal in IBJJF rules, unless you get to like no gi, brown and black, in which case it's okay. You see what I mean? And not only is reaping illegal, also under IBJJF rules, you are not allowed to roll towards the leg under attack. You have to roll, or you can't roll towards the leg not under attack. You see what I mean? You can't roll towards the leg not under attack, because that's the same thing. Even if I don't have this, if I start doing that, maybe it's going to put pressure on his medial collateral ligament here. You see what I mean? So under IBJJF rules, they do. What they should do is like say what parts of the body you're allowed to attack, right? And white, blue, purple, you're allowed to attack the Achilles. You're not allowed to attack the knee. You have to wait until brown and black to attack the knee. You see what I mean? So the second thing I want to share with you, that's about rules. Let's talk about strategy, okay? If I pass his guard, right, and I go for an arm lock, and I fall back, and I don't get it. He comes up on top of me. You know what I mean? He doesn't get any points for that, because it's not a sweep. It's just I maybe get an advantage for almost passing. You see what I mean? If I take his back and almost choke him, but he escapes, I get an advantage. He gets nothing. You see what I mean? But if I go for a footlock, for whatever reason, and then I don't get it, he gets up, and stand up, or whatever. And then once he gets out of the footlock, right? Yeah, it's from here. Now he's going to get 2 points for that. You see what I mean? So
2 points for why?
That's technically a sweep. I was in his guard. I fell back.
Yeah.
He went from bottom to top.
Yeah.
Right? So point number one, footlocks are the first submission available to somebody, right? Who's against him. Point number two, you can get DQ'd if you attack the MCL rather than the Achilles. Point number three, if I go for a footlock and screw it up, I might be sacrificing points on it. You see what I mean? You follow me? And I've been a ref at more than one match where the guy on top is up by an advantage or whatever. And then his coach is yelling, you have to submit him, you have to submit him. And it's like, no, you can win on points. You know, and then he falls back for a footlock, the guy gets up, he gets the two, and then this guy wins because his coach yelled silly advice at him. You see what I mean? So when should you try a footlock on somebody? Here, lay down again, please. So I like to try to do footlocks when he is countering a pass. You know, for example, let's say I'm trying, I'm here and he's putting this one in the way. You see what I mean? And he's pushing here and I'm not passing, whatever. Maybe I'm gonna go for his foot. You see what I mean? Or I'm just trying to pass somehow and he's got this here. You see what I mean? He's pushing and whatever, and this is here. And he's pushing me away. He's not holding on to me at all. If he's holding on to me and I go for a footlock, he's just going to come up. You see what I mean? He's maybe going to collect this too. You follow me? So one, I like to sort of mix footlocks. When I try to pass, he counters, then maybe I go for a footlock. Or, alternately, it looks like I'm going to go for a footlock, and he wants to counter it, so he's pulling me in, right? Because he knows if he's holding me, and then, okay, great, this is going to be a pass now. So you can alternate footlocks and passing. You see what I mean? You can't pass, you go for a footlock. He's countering your footlock, you can look for the pass. You see what I mean? Right? Because a footlock is about, or at least the Achilles lock, it's about creating distance between his head and my head. It's about, you see what I mean? It's about creating distance. If he's still got a hold of this, you're pulling me in, and he's pulling your, so, like, you see what I mean? Like, this isn't going to be pushing his foot, he's pulling me in. This is not going to be a footlock. I have to, like, be free of this and way low on this, and see how we're, like, super apart. What I mean? Right? Which is why taller people that can create that distance, like Hiram Gracie is quite tall, you know, are very good at footlocks, you know. I don't know if I ever saw Roger Gracie do one, but I'm sure he'd be good. He's good at everything. Yeah, there you go. So what am I saying? Okay. Footlock number one. Here, let's turn this down. The straight Achilles lock, right? Like I said before, you should be using the edge of your wrist, not what I call, you know, you're cutting the toast, you're not buttering the toast. You see what I mean? You see some people that use this part of their, you know, they use the flat, they do this, which puts the flat against it or whatever. That's not as bad as this. Secondly, you see people that like push their arm all the way through like this. And I don't know about you, but I'm incredibly muscular here. You know what I mean? It's nice and soft. You see what I mean? You want to use this part of your wrist, and you want to close it this way, not this way. You want to close it this way. You see what I mean? Thirdly, you don't want to do what I call the diamond with this. You want to do here, right? Because if you have what I call the diamond, his foot is just going to sit in this pocket, and it's not going to finish. You want to be here. The same when you're guillotining a guy. See what I mean? There's a flat. You don't want to be here. You don't want to be here, you know? Like so, okay? Thirdly, you want a barrier between yourself and your opponent, right? And so generally the way it works is you're here and you're looking to pass his guard, and then for whatever reason he's pushing you with his hands, maybe this thing's up a little bit, and you're like, all right, fine. But this foot is in the uh-oh position for him. You're like, oh, this is sweet. You know what I mean? So you're trying to pass, and like, oh, okay, great. So this shin is between his legs, you fall back and you put your foot, you know, you put your heel under his belt, your foot flat like this, right? Make sure you're not, you know, just here, and then from here, you have your own wrist. You have your own wrist, like so, and then that's all there is to it, you see? Like so. Let me do it on this side. So you're here, you're passing, he's pushing, his leg's in the way, and this foot's in the not good position, right? So you've already wrapped it. You see what I mean? You fall back, you put your foot on his tummy, and here you are, right? You grab the edge of your hand, this is here, the top of your foot's under his bum, this one's on his hip. You're rolling this way, see? And that's all there is to it, okay? So let's start with that one, enough of my chattering. Okay? What do I want to talk about? We talked about this already, the hand position and whatnot, right? You want to have the sharp part of your wrist against his Achilles, right? And this, you can either grab your own hand thusly, or you can grab your kimono like so. Some people will even do this way. They'll do what I call the Jeff Glover footlock, where you put this through and you go here. But it's still the sharp part of the wrist. They just, instead of this way, they do it. See what I mean? That's the hand position, right? Don't be using the flat part of your wrist. Don't be using the soft part of your arm, right? Let's talk about the foot position and where you put the body. The first one is your foot is here under his bum, and the second one's here, right? And then again, you can grab your wrist, you can grab your lapel. There you go, right? He might counter. We'll talk about counters in a minute, right? The second one is your knee is on the ground and your head is on the ground. Here. like that. Actually, the second one is just here. The first one is you're facing up. The second one is you're on your side. The third one is you're here. You see what I mean? And those get progressively worse and worse and worse. So let's try.